All right. So I need to say a few things about the fight card tonight. And I have something to say about each fight. First, with the first fight of the card. And that's this fight. Now, I did not make any picks. I did not even talk about this fight card because I did not have the feeling that it would be exciting. Didn't have the feeling that it would be entertaining. My pet peeve is talking about fights and then they turn out to stink up the joint. Nothing feels like more of a waste of time for me. A waste of time and energy. It's not a case of whether I get the pick right or wrong. Even if I get the pick right, if it is a stinking fight, I don't even want to talk about it. Okay? Because it represents an embarrassment if it's a stinking fight. So with this fight card, I just got a feeling that the potential was there for three stinkers, except for Julia Stolioranko and Molly McCann. I had a strong feeling Molly would get submitted. I think everybody who follows these fighters knew that as soon as the fight went to the ground, and that most likely it would go to the ground, most likely Stoliarenko would submit Molly McCann. And that's what happened. The first time she got her down, got submitted. But this fight, right here, I was frustrated during the fight. As I watched this fight, I was frustrated because of both fighters. Now, I appreciated the fact that it was primarily a striking contest. Striking is a lot more entertaining than wrestling. That's why Ketlen Viera's victory was so dull and lackluster. Spending all that time on top of your opponent and you can't get not one submission, not even close to a submission. No ground and pound work. Just stinking up the joint with no action. Even if you're transitioning, that's more entertaining than you not doing nothing. It looks like you're just laying there. So we all appreciate striking more. Everybody does. But as a striking contest, Brazil seems to have good power. She seems to have good power. She seems to have a strong punch, a power hand, her overhand right, a big haymaker, looping overhand right. It has good power on it. I will say that. Her head kicks got pretty good power on them. Bannon, not so much. I don't detect much power from Bannon. And really, those are the only two hard shots that come from Bruna Brasil. But with Brazil, I did not think that this was a quality victory for her. It's my opinion. I didn't feel like she looked good. I don't think she looked good in this fight. She, I think, exposed her own lack of defense. Both of them, horrible defense. Both of them. It looks like they train to keep their head right on center line. It's like they train to absorb punches. You know, the way they fight, it's like they refuse to move out of the way of a strike. It's unbelievable to me. Just your natural instincts, like if something's coming towards your face, you don't have an instinct to move your face out the way, or at least put your hands up block it, swat it, something. These women just eat the shots with their face. I never seen nothing like this. And man, that is very weird to me. That's very weird to me. But it happens. So there are girls in the sport with just horrible, horrible defense. And I'm sorry, fighters like that are not going to make it into the top 10. I don't think so. I don't think these are going to be no top 10 fighters. Now, this is a strawweight bout. Man, please. As soon as either one of them go up against a quality striker, especially one with power, it is a wrap. It is, if they can't stop that fighter, if that fighter is allowed to have their moments, man, I don't like their chances of coming out of that. As it is, Bruna Brasil has already been stopped. She was stopped by Denise Gomez. But Bruna Brasil looks kind of confused in there most of the time to me. She's not a counter striker at all. At all. The only counter Bruna has is a little check left hook that she'll throw every now and then. But it has no power on it. And you can tell that she trains that punch. And that she's not a natural counter striker. She just knows how to use that particular counter. But she's not a counter striker at all. I was getting frustrated looking at all the opportunities that Bannon gave her to counter, and Brazil just didn't counter. I feel like Shauna Bannon could have been taken out of there in the first round. She seemed like she was ready to go. Shauna Bannon seemed like she was ready to be taken out in the very first round. But Bruna Brasil is extremely reluctant and gun shy. And she has no jab on top of that. Bruna Brasil's offense to me is disappointing. I'm sorry. Because this girl has the most blatant telegraphs to her strikes I've probably ever seen in my life. If you watch this one moment, I think in the second round, where she throws a right hand, look at what she does before she throws it. She takes 2 skips forward, throws her left leg up in the air. You know how baseball pitchers will throw their leg up before they throw the ball to get momentum? Looked like she did that and cocked her fist all the way back. It seemed like a good 2 to 3 seconds passed between the time that she started to throw that right hand and the right hand actually got thrown. Because she was winding up, skipping forward. She would charge in just for a power hand. It's like, wow, what are you doing in training? No jab. You just want to throw a lead right hand. Now look, if you want to just throw a lead right hand, fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Professional fighters do that all the time. But when they do that, they don't telegraph it. Oh my goodness, not like that. She was throwing right hands as if she had just blinded you with a jab first. She throw right hands as if she has all the time in the world to land it. And it's not just the right hand. With Bruna Brasil, almost everything, there's this big hoopla. She got to have a big pageantry. Fireworks have to go off. The stars have to be aligned for her to simply throw one flipping punch or one kick. Bruna Brasil, it's not that big of a deal. Just throw the strikes out there. Stop thinking about it. That's another thing that I see with these fighters that annoys me. They do way too much thinking. Sitting there thinking. You need the perfect entry, the perfect opportunity. Bruna Brasil, now look, that girl Shauna Bannon came in there eating leg shots. Looked like her leg was ready to fall off in the very first round. Just no defense for no part of her body. I don't know how she's even amassed the record that she has. I'm talking about Shauna Bannon. Now, I don't mean to, but look, man. Look, man, this is where you get the harsh criticism from the really small channels who really ain't got nothing to lose. I ain't trying to get an interview with none of these girls. You see how I reset my channel and started all over? That let you know I ain't trying to get no clout from none of these fighters. I'm just here to break down what I see. And man, this is some disappointing defense from both of these fighters. Man, I don't see them making it up into the rankings at all, to be honest. Not even to be top 10. Not in this division. So I think Bruna Brasil got the potential to be a lot more dangerous if she would just include some fundamentals to her game. Like a jab. I don't think there's no reason she shouldn't be consistent with the jab. And to not lead with power strikes like the way that she does. She telegraphs too much of the things that she does. Way too much. And it's like, my goodness. She can start a punch or a kick. You can take a nap. You can send a few texts and get out the way before the strike gets to you. It's that bad to me. She needs to step her game up, become more fluid, stop leading with power strikes, use a jab, stop telegraphing everything. Some of these trainers, you know what? Some of these trainers, they just train some of these girls. They know full well these girls can't fight. They're not that good of fighters. But they see a cute little girl and they don't want to turn them down. Yeah, I'll help you. I'll help you. If you just focus on training the best fighters, girls who got some type of natural instinct for fighting, you can find a lot better fighters than this. I think a lot of these girls are getting coached in by the trainers and the men up there who they're having flings with or whatever. Yeah, this is my girl, blah, blah, blah. She can be a fighter too. A lot of these girls, they're just not on that level. Okay? The strawweight division, there's levels in each division. I think this is the lower level. We'll see if they prove me wrong. Now, this other fight, Ketlen Viera against Kianzad, was disappointing, especially after all of this. All of this making out, all this foreplay. This is basically what this was. Foreplay. They looking at each other's lips. Kianzad looking like she ready to French kiss Ketlen. This was just some old goofball stuff. Y'all wasn't ready to scrap like that. Now I take that back. I think Kianzad preferred to strike. And it was Ketlen that stunk up the joint. That fight was kind of boring, and I blame Ketlen for it. Not because she took the fight to the ground. I don't mind that. But if you spend that much time on the ground, please either stop your opponent or do something. Do some damage. Rack up some points. Make me feel like your opponent is in trouble. It looked like both of them was just resting. Just, catching their breath. A lot of moments in there. I didn't like that fight. Now, the moments when they were striking, I enjoyed it. Now, watch that fight when they strike. Early in that fight. And you look at how different Ketlen's striking is from Bruna Brasil. Bruna Brasil, because she's not a counter striker, like at all, she has to wait until you're done throwing a flurry. And then she herself has to reset. Everything got to be perfect before Bruna Brasil throws strikes. But Ketlen, she silences your flurries as soon as you start them, because she keeps her eyes on her opponents and looks for the counter opportunities. What Bruna Brasil does not. That take a different mentality. You really got to have some natural fighting instincts to fight like that. Keep your eye on your opponent, keep your hands up, and look for the counter opportunities. And you're going to have a counter opportunity, most likely, before any and every strike they throw, for the most part. And the strikes that Shauna was throwing, she could have been countered all night. But with Bruna, everything has to be a lead strike. Ketlen is almost the opposite as a striker, where most of her offense is countering skills. So yeah, weird dynamic. But the co-main event was entertaining because there was a finish. The fight ended, and it was a good fight, I thought, up until the stoppage. Now, I told y'all about the bodies of these women and how their bodies can look very deceiving. Stoliarenko does not look drained at 125. She does not look undersized, doesn't look like she's killed herself. To me, it looked like she's at her natural weight. And I thought everybody saw that. At bantamweight, I saw it. At bantamweight, she was overweight. At bantamweight, she was overweight. She was a blown up flyweight at bantamweight. I keep trying to tell guys this, but you see, men for the most part, we get tricked by women's bodies. And we'll see a little extra meat, extra hips, extra thighs, and we'll say, you know what? That girl is okay. Ain't nothing wrong. She is at the right weight class. She's healthy and meaty, all in the right places. That's how I would say most men think. But unless you got a good knowledge of the human body, man, you got to know, you can tell. Stoliarenko was overweight at bantamweight, and I think this is her natural weight. You can clearly see she got better balance. She's lighter on her feet. She's quicker at 125. She almost moved like a whole different fighter, which doesn't surprise me. 10 pounds between 125 and 135, that's a lot of weight. That's a whole lot of weight. Okay, so she's not a skeleton at 125. And I think a lot of fighters are just like she was. Okay, I don't think she killed herself diet-wise. She was just on the wrong diet. And a lot of these girls, they eat too much salty stuff. They blow up. They always carrying a whole goo gob of water. Their diets are just jacked up. And that's why they blow up like that and have a hard time losing the weight. Okay, but she seems like she's at her proper weight. Now, she might, hurt these girls at this weight. Her striking didn't look all that bad. Looked like it had Molly worried a little bit. She might be able to get by with that striking. But let me tell you, I don't understand how people thought Molly McCann had a chance in this fight. The way Molly McCann gets ragdolled. Now, I know Taylor Santos was not able to stop Molly McCann, but Santos is not a finisher like that. Stoliarenko is far more likely to submit you than Taylor Santos. Far more likely. So yeah, the writing was on the wall. I don't even know why they made this fight. I understand Stoliarenko had a poor record, But her style was all wrong for Molly McCann. Molly needs to be in there with a striker, a subpar C- level striker, in order for her to shine. And if they have any wrestling skills, it has to be very poor, weak, poor wrestling skills where Molly can stuff the takedowns. Right? But they threw her against Stolioranko in London. That was crazy. Right? Who didn't see this coming? I have no idea. But it looked like she might have broke her arm. Like she might have broken Molly's arm. It sort of went out of place, something like that. And like here, it's like Molly didn't even come close to getting up. Gives up her back, gives up her arm. It's like, what on earth are you doing? You could see Stoliarenko looking for the arm. She was literally looking at her arm that whole time. Yeah, looked like she might have broke it. My goodness. The comments, because Molly was very cocky, as always, before this fight. She's getting torn apart right now on social media, on Instagram, on their little, the YouTube, Twitter. They're dumping on her hard. And rightfully so. I thought her behavior at this face-off was disrespectful. You walk up and ram your nose into your opponent's face, really? After you was just destroyed like that. Now, I get it. She's the co-main event. She's in London. But that wasn't necessary. Everybody knows the caliber of Molly McCann. We know what you're capable of. We know you're not Superwoman. You know, all that was not necessary. And it just added to her humiliation. All that fire, all that screaming, hooping and hollering just to tap out. Tap out in the very first round. Now look, I'm just relaying what happened. I'm not celebrating because I really don't care about Molly McCann like that. I don't think enough. I don't know this woman. All I know is that she's some woman named Molly McCann who's a fighter. I don't get nothing out of dumping on the woman, but it is kind of satisfying to see a fighter who's being disrespectful get humbled. That's always pleasant to see. You know? It's always satisfying. Next weekend, we got Tatiana Suarez against Jessica Andrade. A must-win for Tatiana Suarez. In fact, all Suarez fights going forward is a must-win. Because Suarez has also sort of painted herself into a corner. You know, a lot of these fighters, they make public commitments. And that's okay. But expect fans to remember your commitment. And it's not a case of, you know, dumping on you if you don't meet up to your or walk the walk. It's not about that. It's just about you made people want to watch your fights. Suarez says she thinks she's going to be a champion and make a bunch of title defenses. Because she said that, I'm going to make sure to watch her fights to see if she can do it. And if she does, I'm going to be like, wow, she called this years ago. She knew exactly what she was going to do. She must have studied the whole division and knew she could beat everybody. You know, if Suarez does that, she gets all the praise, all the accolades, and she is admired. But if she falls flat, then, hey, all I can tell you is what I'm going to do. And all I'm going to do is talk about whatever she was lacking that caused her to lose. She go in there and get pieced up. You know, she lose striking, can't get her opponent down. I'm going to say, hey, she should have stepped her striking game up. You know, that's what it's about. That's all we do. A lot of people, they look at us content creators as troublemakers. Oh, we're the villains, the troublemakers, here to spread evil and be misogynist, talk bad about women and be controlling and be abusive. No. Doing the same things that all the other journalists do. We're just not beholden. We're not going to be silenced like these mainstream journalists, so we'll give a different take. It's as simple as that. That is all for this live stream.